Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to reach 10K subscriber, and let's aim for 5K likes on this video. It might seem hard, but I trust you can make it happen. Now, let's begin. Our series begins with our heroine going to get a new ID card. At that moment, the employee asks her for her old ID card. Our heroine tells us that she wished to live in a good family. She wished to live in a family full of love, but her father abandoned her because she was diagnosed with an illness. It was the same illness her mother was diagnosed with and died from. He couldn't afford the large expenses and abandoned her. Our heroine takes out the new ID card with the name Shu instead of Zhao. Thus, she has abandoned her old life. Years later, we see Shu agreeing with people who pretend to be her family, all because she wants to marry someone from a wealthy family. We see her in this person's house, whose name is Hao. It's clear from his eyes that he loves her very much and is attached to her. However, his mother's looks contradict her words, and she feels that she is not reassured. We see it in the way she talks to them and that she asks them about almost everything she wants. She expects them to talk, but our heroine is always calculating the smallest details. In this way, Mrs. Hao can't catch them making a single mistake after that. We see Shu and her fake family arriving at a hotel room. She asks them not to show up at all and to leave the hotel together the next morning. Before the wedding, "I'll call you," she says. They agree and promise to do everything she told them. The next day, we see our heroine at work preparing programs. Her colleague comes and argues with her about writing the script for the episode. She always improvises so that the episode hits the spot. Then he says, "I heard that you got engaged to a rich man. Of course, you'll see yourself above us. Be yourself and know your position well. After that, what will you leave?" She goes to the manager, who tells her that her views this week are very few and that she must focus more. So she tells him that she contacted a guest named San, an art scholar. He's happy but tells her that she has to focus on what she's doing and not think she's just going to be a presenter for programs and that's it. Because if your views remain low, he says, the officials will dismiss you. At night, we see her still working at home, and her lover says, "You're doing all this work?" She replies, "Unfortunately, I haven't chosen the guests for the next episode yet, and I have to have a backup plan in case of any changes." Her lover surprises her by saying that he's already talked to San. "It's been a long time," he says, "so I decided to help you and set a time with him." She tells him that she'll take his number, and he replies, "No problem," but she's surprised and asks, "How did you set a time when you know where I work and how my schedule goes? What if you set it at an inappropriate time?" He approaches her and tells her that one of his followers is close to her. She gets scared and says, "Tell me, are you watching me or what?" He says to her, "Shame on me? I'm just watching you because I care. I mean, I'm telling you someone close to me is beside you, so tell me the news." Then, dear viewer, we flash back in time to find out how she originally met her lover. We see her having an interview with a plant brand owner who is interested in growing cacti and other plants. His name is Hao. She comes to him under the pretext that she is applying for a job. He tells her to cut the cacti and asks her, "Girls don't usually like this profession, so why are you so interested in it?" She replies, "This profession is exceptional." He says, "You're right. But tell me, Miss, what's your name?" She asks, "Do you know my real name?" He replies, "No, but I also know that you came to interview me, even though I rejected the idea and you lied to me." She is surprised that he knows such information about her. She considers it a secret and apologizes to him, offering him a gift, a pair of scissors for cutting plants. He smiles and says, "It looks like you've done some research on me too, because you know I love scissors, and you brought me a unique pair." Then he gives her a gift of honey, and the two of them sit together, exchanging gifts and smiles. The next day at work, her friend comes to her and asks if she did the interview with Hao. She replies, "I'm still dealing with him because they need to do a journalistic interview with him as soon as possible." At the same time, we see Hao sending her a message, telling her that he's ready for her interview and sending her the address. She goes to the place he mentioned, his company, which also belongs to his father. From the secretary, she learns that he is the legitimate heir to the entire company. She enters the office, but he's still in a meeting. She sits waiting for him and starts feeling a bit cold, so he notices. He asks his assistant to turn off the air conditioning. She's surprised that he did this, but everyone else in the meeting starts feeling hot, including Hao himself. After the meeting ends, he goes to talk to her, but finds her asleep from exhaustion. Unfortunately, she faints soon after. He takes her to the hospital, and when she wakes up, she finds him sitting in front of her. She thanks him for helping her and tells him that he can leave and continue his work, but he refuses and says he'll stay with her until he's sure she's okay. He also arranges an interview for her, This is where the story truly begins, dear viewer. After that, Hao takes her to introduce her officially to his mother and relatives as his lover. However, his mother is surprised by her behavior because our heroine treats her like a maid, to the point that when her friend comes, she gets up from her chair so her friend can sit in her place. When the maid comes to take the plates, our heroine helps her and carries them away. At that time, Mrs. Hao asks her to bring some plates from the next room, then embarrasses her with words, saying afterward, "When you're done, go. I'll tell him you completed your task and left." Our heroine becomes upset and replies sadly, "Okay." Then Mrs. Hao asks her if she's free on Saturday because she wants to talk with her. Our heroine answers, "I'm free anytime." She responds, "Okay, I'll let you know the time," and leaves. After that, our heroine returns to her office. Her manager praises her, saying that her work is great because she puts in so much effort. However, her request to become a program presenter is rejected because at that time, she hasn't yet worked in that position. She gets very upset. When she asks him why, he says that the officials think she's not suitable for this step. She replies that she's been working for 3 years without taking a single day off and that she's the one carrying the programs alone in everything. So how can her request be rejected? Her manager tries to calm her down, telling her to submit the request again. Then comes the interview with Mrs. Hao. She greets Shu and says to her, "Dear, one of my friends is coming right now." Within seconds, her friend arrives, and Mrs. Hao introduces them to each other. The woman's daughter, whose name is Ji, becomes the center of attention, as her mother talks non-stop about how beautiful and successful Ji is, and how proud she feels of her. At that moment, our heroine's pride shatters. She feels broken and embarrassed. Finally, Mrs. Hao addresses our heroine and says that Ji is a prominent lawyer who currently works in her parents' law firm. Ji asks her mother if she needs any legal assistance that she can provide right away. Her mother replies that she certainly wouldn't be able to trust anyone but Ji. All this time, our poor heroine sits silently with them, feeling humiliated and out of place, as if she's being looked down upon from every side. After they finish, Mrs. Hao asks Shu to stay away from her son because she's not suitable for him and should find someone from her own background. At that moment, Shu remembers when she was a child and the village kids bullied her because she had no family and lived with her grandmother. She used to reply sadly that her family was still around. Returning to the present, she tells Mrs. Hao that her family is still alive, but lives abroad because they work at a university. "They are the ones who taught me manners and morals," she says, refusing to argue further. Mrs. Hao feels embarrassed by her words. After that, our heroine tells her firmly that no matter what she does, she won't abandon her son and will marry him. Mrs. Hao gets up and leaves in anger. We then see Hao sitting in a meeting with his father, Shen, who tells him that they will partner with another company. The head of that company is named Ming. Everyone welcomes the idea except for Hao, who asks his father why he agreed. Hao explains that he's not comfortable with this company, especially since its manager is still handling it again. He adds that the work is delegated to 3 people, and none of them are truly responsible. One is obsessed with gambling, the second talks too much, and the third, although hardworking, is unfortunately weak and doesn't know how to achieve results. His father tells him, "You must have studied them." Hao replies, "I'm not comfortable with this company, so I have to look into all the details." Let's return to our heroine, who is at work. She receives a call from her mother-in-law, asking her to come see her immediately. She replies that she's still at work, but will try to come quickly. When she finishes, she rests for a short while, and then heads to see her, sending messages along the way to apologize for the delay. Unfortunately, Mrs. Hao takes it the wrong way and becomes upset, telling her to start looking for suitable buildings so that they can choose a marital apartment. She is now faced with a fait accompli. However, our heroine asks her mother-in-law to consult the groom about the decision, but he still refuses and tells her they will choose on his behalf. "We have nothing to do with it." Her mother-in-law deliberately embarrasses her by saying, "Since your father is an architecture teacher, according to what you've said, you must have some background on which building is best for living in." She then gives her a file containing several architectural designs. Our heroine looks through the file and luckily realizes that her mother-in-law is up to something suspicious because she discovers that the house has already been bought. Mrs. Hao is surprised and asks her son, "What did she find out?" He replies, "Nothing. She doesn't know anything. I didn't tell her." He then says that he wants to go out with his girlfriend today. He takes Shu, and the two of them leave together. He prepares food for her himself and apologizes to her. His mother later complains to him, saying that Shu always asks to meet him during his work hours. Shu tells him it's okay, and that she's free as if he's giving her a special gift. After an hour, She asks him what the occasion is. He replies, "Nothing. I just wanted to thank you for putting up with my mother, despite everything she does to you. I also want to help you with your work." She tells him that she doesn't need help and that if she ever did, she would definitely tell him. She thanks him for all the nice things he's done for her. After that, our heroine tries to get closer to her mother-in-law and win her heart by any means. She decides to buy her a gift, an elegant and expensive scarf. However, Mrs. Howe looks at it with disdain and indifference. She takes the gift and says, "I don't know if you think I'm beautiful or what, but I don't like light colors. I prefer dark ones. I hope you don't repeat this mistake or embarrass yourself again." Unfortunately, one of Mrs. Howe's friends takes her aside and advises her to delay the wedding, to not rush it, because her son's fiancé has terrible taste. Our heroine overhears everything but says nothing. She simply gathers her things and leaves quietly. Later, she goes to see her mother-in-law's cook. They go shopping together, and of course, Shu tries to get closer to her to learn more about her mother-in-law, hoping that maybe one day she can win her heart. It's clear the cook has a strong bond with Mrs. Howe. The cook tells Shu that it's not easy to integrate into this family, especially since before there was another woman in Howe's life, but she was rejected, and none of Mrs. Howe's friends accepted her either. This family is very difficult, she warns. You must find a way to fit in and win their love. The next morning, we see our heroine at the playground, trying to get closer to her mother-in-law by picking up the balls she drops, hoping to attract her attention. At that moment, a businesswoman enters, and everyone immediately focuses on her because she's the center of attention and one of Mrs. Howe's friends. She introduces herself to our heroine, saying that she's a famous businesswoman named So-So, and repeats that our heroine should try to get close to her. The next day, we see our heroine in a ballet hall because So-So loves going there to learn dancing. She actually asks her to do the same move that So-So performs. Every day, our heroine trains hard until she reaches a very good level. One day, she gets closer to So-So and walks with her after class. Her plan is working exactly as intended. She starts to get to know her better, and they agree to continue training together from now on. So-So asks her about her job, and our heroine replies that she's a program host. They agree to do an episode together. Right away, our heroine takes advantage of the opportunity and tells her manager that the next guest for their show will be So-So. He's very surprised that she managed to convince her and says that he'll move the program to another location, which will help increase the number of views. So Shu asks him to submit a new request to the officials for her to be the presenter of the program again. He agrees to give her a second chance by letting her present the next episode herself. Thus, our heroine achieves the first step of her dream. For the first time in her life, she presents an episode of the program that she had spent 3 years writing for. Among her guests is the businesswoman So-So, and the manager encourages her because the viewership is extremely high. The episode continues successfully, and she asks him, "What about the show's main presenter, Sue? What should we do with her?" He replies, "Don't worry about your friend Sue, because I sent her to film outside. What's important is that you focus on making the program more engaging." After finishing, she takes her things and goes to her friend Juan, who is surprised when Shu gives her a large amount of money. Shu explains that the money isn't for her, it's to help treat her father and pay for his surgery. Her friend Juan thanks her for helping her, as she also supports her with her education. At the same time, the other presenter Sue decides to investigate Shu because she took her position. She starts talking to her assistant and says, "Shu told me she lives with her grandmother, so how come there's news now that she has a father and mother who are living abroad? There must be something behind this." They agree to look into Shu's past. Meanwhile, our heroine finishes recording the day's episode and is still in the studio when she's surprised by Hao walking in. He asks her why she's still there, even though her work hours are over. She tells him she still has a lot to do. He asks if he can help her, and she smiles and says, "I wish." The next day, Hao decides to take Shu to spend time with his family. They all sit together, watching the opening video of the new company. Shu's expression suddenly changes, and she asks Hao whether he was delayed during his last business trip. He replies, "No, it was a very quick trip." After that, we see Shu's father working as a hairdresser. It's his first appearance. A customer talks to him about his daughters, especially his younger daughter Lin. He replies proudly that she's getting married soon and that her husband will work at a bank. At the same time, we see Lin, who works in a large mall. A man harasses her and tries to get close to her, but she pushes him away and hits him in defense. Unfortunately, the man runs off. Then, her fiancé arrives shortly afterward. We see Lin go with her fiancé to his parents' house, but his mother receives her very harshly and completely ignores her. Lin tries to justify what happened at the mall, explaining that the customer was trying to make fun of her, but her father-in-law tells her that their village is small and warns her not to do anything that could harm their family's reputation. Her fiancé is focused only on the wedding expenses, but Lynn feels uncomfortable, especially when her mother-in-law speaks to her rudely and embarrasses her with harsh words. Lynn keeps quiet at first, but eventually, she can no longer tolerate her mother-in-law's constant nagging. From that moment, she decides to break up with her fiancé, and both go their separate ways. Lynn decides to visit her sister finally, after all these years of absence. She goes to see our heroine. She is surprised when she meets her, and her sister tells her to come talk somewhere private first. But her sister insists they should go home and talk there because she just broke up with her fiancé, and they were supposed to meet him soon. When they arrive, Hao asks our heroine who the girl with her is. Our heroine quickly replies that she is her cousin, and that she came to help book a hotel room for her, pretending not to know anything. Of course, Lynn is shocked by what she says and by her strange behavior, but they leave together anyway. Once they reach the hotel room, Lynn starts blaming her sister for pretending not to know her and for not telling her that her fiancé was her sister's acquaintance. But our heroine coldly responds that they are not from the same family, that her only family is her grandmother, and that she has no obligation to support her. Then she adds that since Lynn's money has run out, she wishes she would just leave. At that moment, Lynn is shocked by what she hears and says, "If I had known that, I wouldn't have come to you in the first place." Her sister coldly replies, "That's better," and walks away, leaving her behind. Here, we see our heroine start to reminisce about her childhood, how she lived with her grandmother until her father and mother came and took her back. Unfortunately, they treated her differently from her sister. We see this in how she always had to bear the household responsibilities alone, washing for herself, studying by herself, and growing up without care or affection. One day, there was a gas leak in the house. When her father smelled the gas, the first thing he did was run to find his daughter Lynn. He quickly took Lynn outside first, forgetting that he had another daughter still inside. When the mother came, they finally thought of her and ran back to get her. We see the difference in treatment again at the hospital, where both the mother and father are completely focused on Lynn, ignoring our heroine. But it didn't stop there. When she grew older and entered high school, she excelled in her studies. Her grades were high, and all the teachers spoke about her intelligence. One teacher even told her father that she had received a university scholarship and needed to take the entrance exam as soon as possible. Her father, however, rejected the idea completely. A relative, overhearing this, intervened and shouted at him, asking why he wouldn't let his daughter take the exam. He didn't answer. As he walked away, she ran after him and asked why he refused. He got angry and told her it wasn't because they were poor or because of university costs, then said, "You always ask why. Don't compare yourself to Lynn. I know you think I don't love you, but don't forget I'm still your father." Because of his anger, he raised his hand at her, then walked away. She cried as he left, feeling completely broken. Then at this moment, our hero has called her. He asks her to go to the studio, and when she arrives, he tells her that he was her lover, meaning he used to come just to share moments with her while watching the flowers bloom. She opens up and responds, but her heart has grown hard. She simply tells him, "The flowers will die after that." He answers, "That's normal, people die too, even at the beginning of life." He keeps asking her why she didn't tell him that she had a cousin. He wonders what her cousin would think if they invited her to their wedding. She tells him, "It's not important. Don't focus on that subject." He is surprised by her strange reaction and silence. Then the story shifts to Lynn's fiancé, who goes to ask about her at her family's home. Her mother tells him that Lynn has traveled and asks how he doesn't know. He replies that, unfortunately, he doesn't know anything about her. He asks if they know what happened between him and Lynn. Her mother stays silent and gives no answer. He finally tells them that he and Lynn broke up. Her parents are shocked because their daughter hadn't said anything. At the same time, we see our heroine talking with her fake family, reminding them to act normal because Hao's family will visit their home soon. Suddenly, she receives a call from her real father, but she doesn't answer. Her father is shocked that she ignored the call. He decides to go to her country to find out where his daughter Lynn is. He asks his wife to contact the grandmother to get Shu's address. She does so, and the grandmother is surprised, but gives them the information innocently. They try to find Shu's real address, but they don't know which building or apartment she lives in. At the same time, and in the same place, we see our heroine walking with her fiancé's family. Suddenly, she sees her real family from a distance and gets terrified. She imagines them coming toward her, exposing her secret in front of her fiancé's family, revealing that she lied, that she's a fraud, and that no one will ever believe her again. All of this, however, is only in her imagination. Luckily, she remembers that her fiancé's uncle is waiting for them, and they must leave immediately to meet him. Meanwhile, her real family is desperately trying to reach her, running after her, but she's already left with her fiancé. After our heroine bids farewell to her fiancé and his family, her real family finally arrives and asks her how she knows this famous, wealthy family. She tells them, "It has nothing to do with you. I'm marrying their son." Her father becomes furious and says, "How can you do this without telling us or asking for our opinion?" She answers coldly, "Why should I ask your opinion? The only opinion I needed was my grandmother's. She was my family, and that's it." Her father is hurt by her words. Without another word, they decide not to attend her wedding or have anything to do with her again. Then we see Lynn, who goes to visit her sister Shu, but doesn't find her. Instead, she meets Shu's fake family, who pretend to be her real parents, saying that they work abroad and have just returned to attend their daughter's wedding. Lynn is shocked and deeply upset by this web of lies that has been building for so long. When she realizes the truth, she starts fighting with her sister, accusing her of living a life built entirely on deception. But what did she say to her? She told her that she didn't know how hard she had worked to reach where she was now, that none of her real family had ever helped or supported her, and now they were all here, only to blame her. So Lynn said to her, "If you truly loved your fiancé, you wouldn't lie to him." But our heroine yelled at her and told her to leave. Her sister Lynn replied coldly, "Consider this the last time you'll ever see me, but I won't stay silent about what you're doing." That night, we see our heroine in her apartment. Her mother receives a call asking whether she and her father have decided to attend their daughter's wedding because, no matter what, she is still their daughter. The mother simply says, "Okay," then hangs up without telling her husband that she agreed. After that, our heroine decides to visit her grandmother in a distant village. One of the villagers offers to take her to her grandmother's house. When she arrives, she finds her grandmother picking plants that she had planted earlier. Our heroine rushes to help her, afraid she might fall. After helping her, she goes back to her own work, and later, they sit together. That night, her grandmother learns about the latest news that Hao and our heroine have decided to get married next month. Her grandmother is delighted and congratulates her, but our heroine remains quiet and tells her that there's also bad news. Her parents have come to the village and want to attend her wedding, but she doesn't want them to. Her grandmother gently tells her that her wedding will be beautiful, just the way she wants it to be. Our heroine replies that the distance between the village and the city is too long, and that her grandmother will get tired during the trip. At that moment, her grandmother understands that she doesn't actually want her to attend the wedding, and she tries to cover up the truth with kind words when talking to her mother, so that she won't be upset. In the morning, our heroine decides to return to the city. She takes the bus and keeps remembering her struggles. How, when she first came to the city, she worked at several jobs to pay for university, and no one helped her except her grandmother. She feels sad that she couldn't make her grandmother happy, even on her wedding day, by letting her attend. Meanwhile, we move to Hao, who is in a meeting with members of his company. He's surprised to see a new girl working with them on a new project, and it's clear that he knows her. When the meeting ends, the two of them stay behind and talk. The girl shows him an old photo and points out that the jacket she's wearing in the picture is the one he gave her. He tells her, "You took all of this from me." She looks at him calmly from afar, her expression unreadable, almost as if she has bad intentions. We can call this moment the calm before the storm. She sends him a message, telling him she's waiting for him downstairs. He goes to meet her and tells her, "I actually forgot to mention I'm engaged now, and I'm happy." A month later, the girl is shocked, feeling as though her entire dream has been shattered. Yes, dear viewer, it seems this was the girl he had been engaged to before. Our heroine then decides to invite this girl out on a date to get to know her better. Her name is Feng, though she doesn't yet realize who she really is. She starts getting closer to Feng, trying to find out what exactly she wants from her fiancé Hao. Our heroine starts talking to her. All she says is about her good and stable relationship with Hao, and that she must see Hao as her brother and nothing more. She wishes that if she stays away from him, it would be better. The girl assures her that she is talking normally and that she does not intend to ruin their relationship. She only tells her that this is the first time she will attend a wedding and asks if she could be her bridesmaid, in other words, the one who will hand her over to the groom. All her looks are malicious, and our heroine remains silent. She tells her, "I will think about it, but I agree anyway." Finally, dear viewer, the days pass, and the long-awaited day arrives Shaw's wedding. Hao is our heroine at the height of her brilliance, and very beautiful. The wedding ceremony goes well, but here we see the family of her friend Jia and Jia's father getting to know Shaw and calling her. She gets nervous because they know her real family, but she holds herself together so she doesn't get embarrassed. At that moment, someone comes and asks her who they are, and she starts introducing them. After that, our fake unemployed people start talking to Jia's family, who watches them from afar. They want to ruin everything. He notices that she's worried. He looks at them and tells her to go and stand with her colleague's family and greet them because it's their first time. They honor us. When she goes, she talks to them and tries to speed up the introduction and get things done so that her fake family doesn't ruin everything until she signals to her fake mother that she'll do anything to prevent a mess. After a while, she spills juice on Abu Waji's suit. This way, she saves herself from any scandal, and their affair is exposed. On the other hand, we see Fang clinging to her as if she's his wife, but he embarrasses her and introduces her to his friends as his childhood friend. He also says she's single, so if anyone wants to get to know her, she's available. That's what he said. The second day, our heroes decide that they will leave for a month. Honey then decides to pour honey on them, and she meets them like this and leaves because she knows what's in it. This becomes a way for 6 women to interact with each other. Our heroine's father begins to thank Fang for attending her wedding and provoking her like this, so Fang tells her he goes to very beautiful places and that before that, he gave her a lot of space. So she laughed and said to him, "Keep writing to me about all the places you went together, because they don't go there anymore." She tells him she will leave and go away. So when he starts talking to her, she realizes that he wants to get to know her grandmother. As soon as she tries to avoid the topic, he insists, saying that her job is important, but meeting her grandmother is better than anything. She humbles herself and agrees to take him to visit her grandmother. Tori has a picture that makes her happy and joyful. When she comments on it, she tells her that it's in her bedroom because she looks at it from time to time. At night, she decides to sit with her grandmother, who tells her that her family hasn't been doing well for a while. Her father got sick, had an X-ray, and it showed a tumor in his chest. She hopes she can be reassured. He asks her if the tumor was benign, and she replies to her grandfather, "Yes, I wish." The next day, she sends money to her father to pay for his treatment. She decides to return to her life again, and Ha meets her. He tells her, "I'll surprise you." He takes her home and says that this house will be hers from now on, and it will be in her name. She can meet her friends there, and she can handle any work matters there. He also promised her grandmother that he would do everything to make her happy, even if she didn't ask for it. Of course, she is surprised by him because he loves her very much, and his actions are so sweet that she doesn't know how to react. Because she's living a lie, she starts looking around the house. She notices words on the wall, the height measurements of children who lived there before her. She remembers incidents from her childhood and how her family was concerned about her sister but didn't pay much attention to her. And in the present, Ha feels that she's affected and sad, so he measures her height so that she doesn't feel like she's missing something. Dear viewer, let's go to Lina, our heroine's sister, who works in a mall, as we know, in the makeup department. Her annoying roommate comes every day and puts on makeup, pretending that she's experimenting. Lina doesn't like the situation at all. "Why don't you buy it, my good girl?" she asks. The roommate replies, "It's okay, I don't want to buy it. As a customer, I have the right to come and try it every day." Of course, Lina can't do anything about it, so Lina decides to go and finish her work. She tries to place an order, and her colleague tells her to wait until he finishes the call he's on, then he'll go down with her, but she doesn't listen to him. She puts down the box on her own, and unfortunately, she hurts her shoulder. After that, she immediately decides to go to the hospital, and the doctor begins treating her. She finds out that the doctor knows her. He's the same person she used to have a crush on. He checks on her and asks her about her sister. Here, she stays quiet. We learn that he used to admire her sister during their school days, but unfortunately, her sister rejected him and told him that she wasn't thinking about getting engaged at that time. Back in the present, she tells him that her sister is fine. He says, "Why don't you give me her number so I can call her and check on her?" At the same time, he tells her to come and get her. She tells him there's no need, but moments later, she gives him the number anyway. He takes the number, calls her, and tells her that her sister is in the hospital and that he wishes she would come and get her. Of course, she doesn't believe it at first, but goes immediately to check on her. They then sit waiting for her. When she arrives, she thanks the doctor, whose name we now learn is Yu. He notices that she's married and congratulates her, but he feels sad inside. Everything he had hoped for has gone to waste. After that, our heroine takes her sister, and they go to her apartment. She sees that her sister's apartment is small and asks her to move out of this house house, but Liline refuses and tells her, "If the doctor hadn't called you, I wouldn't have bothered you." But a few days later, we see people arriving at the house and emptying her room on Shu's orders. But Lin fights with her because she doesn't want to move. Shu tries to convince her to relocate and says, "You know your neighbor in the new apartment is Dr. Yu." Shu knows that Lin likes him, so she calls to her from the alley and teases her. She always laughs at her. Their friend doesn't believe it at first, but Shu urges her, "Come on, let's move quickly." The scene becomes a little comic relief. Meanwhile, we see Tao, Lin's ex-fiancé, confronting his mother because he suspects that her family used the dowry money to renovate their shop and he wants the money back. Tao tries to contact Lin, but she blocks him. He decides to go to the company where Shu works and asks about her, but security refuses him entry. He then calls her father, asking for Shu's number, but suddenly he sees Shu sitting in a restaurant with Yu. He goes there, upset, and asks why she's with him. At that moment, Yu stands up. Tao is intimidated by him because Yu is much taller. Shu calms Tao down and explains that they are colleagues. Tao quiets a little, but continues yelling and arguing because he feels humiliated. He believes Shu dumped him, laughed at him, and took the dowry money. In his anger, he even slaps Shu. Yu becomes very upset by this. Our heroine realizes the radio station crew is approaching the market. They begin to get involved. She threatens and then soothes Tao, saying, "Okay, I know where Lin is. I will take you to her." However, the radio presenter Sue wants to know what happened. She goes to ask Yu, but he insists, "I don't know anything. They just knocked and said, 'Get out of here.'" He leaves and walks away. Yu returns later, unwilling to be provoked or comment further. After that, we see Tao sitting at home, bitter. He feels betrayed because his sister left him for Yu, and he vows he won't let it go. In this episode, besides the dowry money issue, Tao keeps insisting that he will expose the truth to the groom's family. He asks, "How much did you come here to take?" She replies, "It's not about money. I want to move on and go back later tonight." She tells him, "She broke up with you of her own free will. Leave her alone." Tao refuses and says he will expose her at every turn and make her husband's family know the truth. She remains silent, but then challenges him, "Then do it and see who started this." At this time, Hao's assistant informs him about the confrontation with Tao, and suddenly, the whole affair becomes known. Tao says he is the fiancé of his cousin Anshum, a detail that surprises everyone because they had not realized his connection. He needs all the information about Shu as quickly as possible. At the same time, we see Bird at work, and his manager tells him that his leave has been rejected. Mr. Bird says that's why he asked to return from the city. The manager replies, "Yes." Bird says, "That's why I asked you." He continues, "Well, I really need this leave because of family matters." The manager tells him, "It won't work, honestly, because the order came from above. The general manager is very interested in you right now." Meanwhile, we see Bird walking with his mother, who tells him that they must win the next deal by all means, especially since there is a dinner meeting tonight. He tries to control his nerves. His mother begins to notice that her husband has changed, as if he's hiding something from her. That night, she takes him aside and shows him a memory from his childhood. She tries to help him by asking him to talk about his problems, telling him that she needs to hear from him, that it will make her happier to share his worries and joys. He thanks her and hugs her. After learning about all his problems, Shu decides to help him in her own way. She goes to a nursing home, where his father-in-law's mother, the woman he made the deal with, is staying. Her name is Mrs. Dit. Shu decides to donate a large amount of money to the home and asks the director if she can speak with the woman. The woman inside only says it's okay for a while, allowing her to visit. As Shu is there, a noise is heard, so she leaves to see what it is. She finds Mrs. Dit hallucinating and breaking everything in the room. The director tells her that Mrs. Dit has third-degree Alzheimer's and that her condition is critical. Shu notices that the woman has clay balls with her, which is dangerous because she might eat them. The director explains that those clay balls are a memory from her daughter before she died, and she keeps them because they remind her of her child. Shu returns home and makes similar vegetable balls with the help of her grandmother. Dear viewer, this is so that she can give them to Mrs. Dit. The next day, Shu goes to the home with food and a cake. She tries to get close to Mrs. Dit, but the old woman becomes frightened and thinks Shu is a thief, throwing the cake in her face. However, Shu calms her down by telling her that she brought the vegetable balls her daughter loved. When she shows them to her, Mrs. Dit begins to remember the old days and her daughter. They eat the cake together, and with that, Shu succeeds in gaining her trust. From then on, Shu visits her every day and exercises with her. Over time, Mrs. Dit starts taking her medication regularly and improves. One day, she even treats Shu exactly as if she were her own daughter and helps her make vegetable balls. One day, the The man Shu was supposed to make the business deal with Mr. Wang arrives at the house and finds his mother, Mrs. Diet, exercising happily with Shu. He is shocked to see her recovery and surprised that she's laughing again. Seeing her so full of life makes him very happy. Then, we see Hao playing golf with Huang. He tells him, "Lucky is your wife, she's a good one." Hao is surprised, so he tells Huang that she helped his mother-in-law at home and her health is now better. "I thank her very much for everything she's done. And of course, you're the one who sent her." He tells him, "Honestly, I don't know anything about this matter." Wang is surprised and says, "It might just be a coincidence." On the other hand, we see Shu's company. They're talking about a fraud case related to marriage matters. By chance, she sees them in the market and notices a photo of a fake father. She decides to go to the manager. She gives him food so that he agrees to give her the wedding photos. Our heroine agrees, of course, since the topic involves food. He tells Amal that a man's heart is his stomach. Amal opens his phone and looks at the photos. She finds the same photos of her fake father. She takes them with her. Along the way, she manages to reach the fake Abusho and starts to trap him in conversation. She says to him, "Will you cooperate with me and act like you're my father or what? The world looks like it." She takes the olive from him. Then Sue goes to provoke our heroine with words and asks her if she will participate in the competition to choose a news anchor. She replies, "Sure, of course." And Sue, the warlike one, tells her, "I will participate too. We'll do a destructive episode, and our session will not adhere to the script just like before." And indeed, the next day, Sue, the warlike one, asks our heroine to be her guest because her own guest hasn't arrived yet. After much insistence, our heroine agrees, and the day of the show arrives. But she is surprised that her fake father is also a guest with her, the one who greets her and tells her that he knows her. Sue shows the fake wedding news. They bring people who pretend that they are her family. Our heroine gets nervous, but continues speaking. Her words become emotional as they accuse her of bringing fake parents because she wanted a dowry. Ali deceives her rich husband and shows pictures of her wedding, and with her, this person acts like her father. Our heroine cannot bear being called a liar because she hates that her father always belittles her. The fake one says that he is not the man in the pictures. It's just a resemblance, and he proves it through the birthmark on his neck. The one in the picture doesn't have that mark, and we see a flashback showing that our heroine knew about it before. Every time, she asked him to put paint on it to cover it. At that time, Sue knew she was the one who looked like a wet chick among them, not knowing how to respond or what to say, because she was basically exposed. Her plan had already been revealed earlier when she foolishly told our heroine that their episode would be a disaster and that she had brought a guest star to humiliate her. At that moment, our heroine became suspicious, talked to her fake father, and understood everything from him. He told her that he would never betray her. Thus, they agreed to do everything together, and they congratulated her on the 60th anniversary event. Our heroine then went to talk to the chameleon and asked her, "Why do you hate me?" She replied that she wouldn't stay quiet until her lie was exposed. So she said to her, "You've beaten me. Even if I'm lying, you won't know anything." At that moment, Hao was in the same place and saw Sue hitting our heroine. He went to yell at her, and of course, our heroine pretended to cry and make fun of her in front of her husband, who didn't listen. He called his team to deal with Sue. He took Shu, and they left. Then Shu showed up. His mother-in-law gave him a gift to celebrate his success as a news anchor. She became very happy and thanked him. Then her brother came and asked him to go out with him on Saturday, but he told him that he was busy. She asked him, "What's wrong?" She said she could come with him if he wanted, but he refused and embarrassed her. After that, she sat with her mother-in-law, who was upset about her younger son's behavior because he always caused problems at school. Her mother-in-law suggested that she join the school group and be the one to take care of his affairs because she was more educated and would know how to deal with them. Shu agreed, saying that, of course, she couldn't say no. Later, we saw her at school, and the supervisor complained about her little brother's behavior, who we know has a bad reputation because he always causes a lot of problems, even hitting a classmate as if it were normal. His family was upset, saying it wasn't right for him to do that. And of course, dear viewer, our heroine would do her duty and more. After that, she went home and asked her mother-in-law what she had done at school. She replied that the other boy's parents had already left, and the matter had been settled. She was very happy that the issue was resolved. Then she said to her, "What do you think about sending that little boy out to learn fashion?" The little boy became very upset by her words, to the point that he went into his room. At that moment, our heroine decided to go and talk to him to deal with the situation herself. She went to talk to him, but he was very harsh in his words and accused her of convincing his parents to send him away. However, she told him that if he promised not to repeat what he did to his classmate today, she would convince his family not to kick him out. and she would also make his brother Hao get close to him. She even promised to take him out every Saturday if he wanted. He was convinced by her words and agreed. After that, our heroine went to work. Her assistant came to her and told her that her colleague was waiting for her and wanted to meet her. She went to meet him at the company's restaurant. We learned that her colleague's name is Chuck. She told him that they had been friends for years, but they hadn't seen each other in a long time. He replied that the first time they met was 5 years ago at a restaurant. At that time, he had an interview and she was applying for a job. The employee asked her why she was leaving her family's job. She replied that her family had a hair salon. The employee then suggested that it would sound better if she wrote that they worked abroad. That was where the first series of lies began. Chuck was sitting at the table next to her and told her not to do that because it was considered forgery on a CV, but she ignored him and wrote it down. Then she left. The employee followed Shu out, and Chuck apologized to her for interfering, following her outside again to apologize. From there, they got to know each other, and that's how their friendship began. We return to the present, and we see Chuck talking to our heroine about his company, which specializes in technology and robotics. He takes her and goes to his office. He tells her that he'll get to the point right away, and that he wants her to introduce him to her husband, so they can share a life together. She tells him, "No problem, that's great. Your idea is good," and he'll welcome it. She leaves him and walks away, deciding to go to the bathroom first. But by chance, she overhears an employee talking to someone on the phone. This company is basically a fake company. Yes, just like she realized, this whole thing is a scam, nothing more. At that moment, our heroine is shocked by what she's heard. She goes out and looks everywhere in the company, asking an employee to tell her the specifications of the robot in front of her, but he doesn't know and makes excuses, saying that it needs repairs. She sees another employee pretending to talk to a worker on the phone, but it turns out that the phone cord is not connected. Then she finds files and goes to see them. At that moment, her friend arrives. She suspects the con artist and makes an excuse that she is going to leave and will call him back, but he notices that she grabbed the files before she left and becomes suspicious. The next day, our heroine goes to the horse stable to see her friend, the little boy Shane, and tells him that his brother Hao is not coming today because he has work, so she said she would come instead. The trainer tells her that she has to be very careful because she is changing his horse, and the horse does not take her seriously. Unfortunately, Shane acts recklessly, rides the horse, and does strange things, deliberately falling over. They quickly take him to the hospital. He receives attention from everyone, but soon everyone disappears, and his father and mother leave because they have an important business meeting. Also, his brother Hao leaves and gets upset at the time. Our heroine stays to take care of him, but he gets angry and breaks everything around him. She tries to calm him down and fulfill his requests. He wants her and doesn't know how to get her to do it. After that, she takes him home and starts arranging his room. He wonders why she's always so interested in him. Then she opens her phone and asks him if he wants to watch TV or play games. He says, "I wish we could play." She says, "Okay, but I'll show you something on the phone first." She shows him the picture of him riding a horse and encourages him. He's happy at her words and feels that she's the only one who really cares about him. No one in his family does this for him, not even his brother. He repeats, "We try to be kind to him because no matter what, she is the kindest person." At night, she comes to his room but finds him asleep. She greets him and tells him that Shane fell off the horse on purpose. She shows him the video. He did it to attract attention and get her interest. She continues, saying that she always noticed that he was happy when he was with her, but as soon as she left, he became sad again. She hopes to convince his father and mother not to send him abroad so he can stay with them, and they try to get closer to him so that he is not affected even more. Unfortunately, what will he do after this? He tells her that he really needs to talk to his family tomorrow and that he won't be traveling. He will go to work early so he can finish quickly and spend the rest of the day with them. Of course, all of this is difficult, and he's awake, listening to them and affected by their words. Our heroine is so kind. The next day, in the morning, we see our heroine's sister, Lynn, at a makeup company. The managers are happy with her work. They encourage her to continue because they want to promote her to the company's main team and tell her that she's a candidate. As long as she stays at this level and excels, she will be guaranteed a place on the main team. She's happy with their words and feels good inside. But when the managers go out and consult about who will take the top spot at work, one of them chooses Lynn. However, another manager tells him that she's smart, but her education level is low, so it won't work for her. Lynn hears this and gets upset about her luck. A message reaches her that she was rejected in the interview. We go back a bit. Lynn goes to little Shane's room. She tries to open up to him about the strange situation reputation. He responds by saying, "No," but also thanks her, saying, "My brother's wife." She's surprised by the sudden change, but she's happy that she's finally won the heart of everyone in the family. His mom and dad also visit him and leave as usual, but Shu stops them. She advises them to stay with Shane today because his mood is affected, and it will get worse if they leave. She shows them Shane's drawings that illustrate his mood. They get upset with their son and actually stay with him for the first time as a family. Shu decides to reward our heroine for her efforts by giving her a car as a gift. She asks him why, and he says it's because of what she did for his brother, and reminds her that she doesn't ask for anything. He also mentions that her new position requires her to ride in a car. She thanks him for everything he does for her. Then, our heroine receives a message from her friend, the fraudster Shock, asking to see her paperwork. She goes to him and tells him that, unfortunately, his company is all fake, so the transaction was rejected. She knows that he's scamming investors. They laugh, and he tells her, "Of course I won't bring it from outside." "What's the scam about your education?" she asks. "What do you mean?" Shock tells her, "I know you're a liar, and you're laughing at your husband and your family. They're not real. Your real family lives in a small rural village, so you must agree to finance our company through your husband's company, or I'll tell him everything. I hope we cooperate with kindness instead of bad manners." At that moment, our heroine leaves him, not seeing anyone, and feeling lost. When she arrives home, her mother-in-law asks her to prepare a nice birthday party for her husband, which will be at the beginning of the month. Because she doesn't know what to do, she agrees and tells her not to worry about anything, while she herself worries about the whole world. Meanwhile, we see Lynn, sitting with her friends having dinner. By chance, she finds Dr. Yu walking by and is happy. She goes to sit with him, surprised that he's been drinking. She asks him why, and he tells her that he hasn't drunk in a long time because of his work, but currently he needs a drink, and unfortunately, he's drowning in lemonade. She takes him home and thinks that anything could happen between them. However, Dr. Yu is respectful and tells her that nothing inappropriate will happen, saying, "You ill-mannered girl, it isn't going to happen." The next morning, Dr. Yu goes to apologize to Lynn and breaks his fast. He tells her that he drank a lot yesterday because he had an important surgery and was afraid that something might happen. She tells him, "Don't worry, nothing really happened. Don't worry. You told me that I'm really well-mannered, and you're well-mannered too." He gets emotional and keeps quiet. He asks her if she talked to her sister, Shu, and comments that they are very similar in many ways. He wishes they would get closer at the same time. Meanwhile, our heroine is playing with her mother-in-law and her dog. Suddenly, her mother-in-law's friend enters. She suspects a con artist, and our heroine is shocked. They get to know each other, and her mother-in-law introduces her to Chuck, who is very interested in the field of medical technology and helps doctors. He is very skilled, but unfortunately needs to develop his work more, so this will be a good opportunity for both him and our heroine. Chuck tries to attract the attention of her mother-in-law when he compliments our heroine on her clothes, saying they are beautiful and from a famous fashion designer. She is surprised and says, "It's strange that someone in your field would be interested in fashion. You're playing with me. The most important thing is to stand out among people." Our heroine is surprised at what is happening and asks permission to go get hot water. She comes back, and Chuck provokes her again with his words, insisting that he will participate. Her husband intervenes. "Otherwise, I will reveal your true nature to everyone and disgrace you. There is news that you are married to a rich man and are exploiting his reputation and money." She replies, "Just like you." Now she wants to partner with her husband to exploit his reputation. She wants to take money from investors and tell them. Unfortunately, she doesn't agree, but Chuck tries to disgrace her in front of her mother-in-law. She throws water on his face, and he reacts even more provocatively, saying, "Add this to the laundry money." She replies, "Add it to what?" He tells her it's about the investment bill, asking, "Did you forget or what?" Then he leaves, walking away and making her feel embarrassed and nervous. The next day, we see Chuck inviting our heroine to lunch while she is focused on photographing fish, which is her hobby. Then Chuck appears and calls her. She is frightened, unsure of his intentions, and thus this part is end. We will soon find out in the second part whether she will be exposed, whether her secret will be revealed, or if she will be able to cover it up and deal with the situation. All you have to do now is activate the notification bell because the second video is coming out immediately.